Hello, my name is Todd. Welcome to the Lyceum Weekly Update number 48 for the week of November 24th, 2014. Band of the week this week is C-Tech. He is an electronica producer, really good sampler, really cool at just rhythms and structure in general, kind of like post-rocky, but very electronica. It's difficult to explain, but you can hear it running underneath this video, so you can make judge of yourself. Make yourself the judge. That sounds better. Make yourself the judge. And if you like it, click them below, support him, buy his stuff, because it's really cool. And if you want to see him perform, he is performing on Saturday the 29th at Good God Small Club in Chinatown, Sydney. If you hear sounds of something else like panting or whatever, it's because I let Phoenix in, because it is way too damn hot outside to keep the dog out, so he is inside keeping cool and going... Kicking straight into launches on Tuesday the 25th, there is an alternative pop and rock single launch that is happening at the Vanguard in Newtown. It is $14 with New Oxford. Then Wednesday the 26th, there is a rock and soul single launch happening at the Spring Street Social in Bondi, and that is with Gang of Brothers. Then lastly for Wednesday, a singer-songwriter album launch at the Vanguard in Newtown that is $19 with Archer. Thursday the 27th, an indie pop rock single launch at the Brighten Up Bar in Darlinghurst that is $13 with Alana Cherotti. As well as an indie pop EP launch at the Newtown Social Club in Newtown. It is sold out, unfortunately. I don't know if you want to try and get in, but it's $15, and that is with Little May. And finally on Thursday, a pop rock EP launch at the Oxford Art Factory in Sydney. It is $12 with Castle Comer. Then Friday the 28th, we have a progressive metal EP and album launch happening at the Boldface Stag in Leichhardt. It is $12. The EP launch is from Apparitions of Null. The album launch is from Brisbane band Arcane. Then there is a second night of EP launch at the Newtown Social Club in Newtown from Little May. Unfortunately, that gig is also sold out, so you had two chances to see Little May and her EP launch, and you missed both of them. Thankfully, the Newtown Social Club is an amazing website that books things months in advance, so check it. And lastly for Friday, a jazz album launch at the Seymour Centre in Chippendale. It is $20 with Jackson Harrison Trio. Now Saturday the 29th, a folk album launch at 107 Projects in Redfern. It is $10 with Bud Petal. I don't think you can get a more folk name than that, Bud Petal. As well as an all-ages punk rock 7-inch launch at Blackwire Records in Annandale that is with Chinese Burns Unit. There is also a blues indie rock EP launch at the Captain Cook Hotel in Paddington with Doc Holliday Takes the Shotgun. As well as a hip-hop album launch at Oxford Art Factory in Sydney in their main room. It is $15 with Daily Meds. A jazz folk album launch at the Seymour Centre in Chippendale. It is $20 with the Grey Wing Trio. And then finally for Saturday, a free alternative rock and blues album launch at the Union Hotel in Newtown that is with Reverend Jemima. Now Sunday the 30th and the final launch for this week, a free indie alternative rock 7-inch launch that is happening at the Town Hall Hotel in Newtown, also known as the Townie, and it is with Sleepy. And special gigs on Thursday the 27th, the Now group. They usually put on a bunch of really cool noise, experimental, jazz type gigs. Their program is starting up again, this time at the 107 Projects in Redfern. A whole heap of bands playing: Australian Bass Orchestra, Exotic Dog, Claire Cooper, Stasis Duo, Brian Thwata, all pulling together a bunch of alternative and experimental jazz. Then Friday the 28th, there is a hip-hop, folk, pop and rock fundraiser for Solidarity. They are a socialist group who is primarily against most of the things that the current government are doing, so they're looking for a fundraiser. It is $15 to get in. It is happening on Addison Road Community Centre in Marrickville, and you can hear a bunch of bands like Svelte, Grace Turner, Bicos Locos, Video Easy and Humdinger. And there is also an experimental jazz band who are celebrating their 2nd birthday of being around. It is at Lazy Bones Lounge in Marrickville, $10, and the birthday is for the Sonic Mayhem Orchestra. Then Saturday the 29th, there is Metal United Down Under, which is a night where there's a metal gig and it's happening on, I think, every single capital city around Australia all on the same night. Sydney's one is at the Boldface Stag in Leichhardt. It is $15. You can check out a whole heap of cool metal bands like Fenrir, Flaming Wreckage, Havoc from Perth, War Rages Within, Before Sayada, Edenfall and Fatigue. Finishing up special gigs with a couple of festivals. The first one is an electronica festival called Outside In. It starts at 2 PM at the Manning Bar in Chippendale. It is $80 to get in. It's a lot of international bands, a lot of local bands, I guess electronica artists. They're still bands, everyone's a fucking musician. It is a massive list, as you can see right there. So there's some from Germany, like Panther Du Prince, a bunch from America, like Juraphage, Brenmar, Roy Davis Jr., a bunch from Melbourne, some from the UK, one from Sweden, a bunch of locals like Collarbones, Noise in My Head, Oscar Key Sung, Preacher, and Gare. It's really just a massive electronica festival. It certainly seems worth the $80 because of the amount of internationals and really cool locals who are playing there. And then lastly, for special gigs, the East West Death Grind Fest 6. It is a bunch of hardcore, metal, punk. It starts at 1 PM, happening at Valve Bar in Sydney. It is $20 to get in. A bunch of national acts from all around. There are some from Victoria, like Internal Rot, Black Jesus, and Morbid Anal. I got really confused because there is a metal band called Morbid Angel, and I saw the name Morbid Anal. I was like, no, there has to be a typo, but no, it's the band from Victoria, Morbid Anal. Probably the second worst kind of anal that you can receive. You can also check out a bunch of local bands at that festival like Frame 313, Hacked Chunks, Ivan and the Backpackers, Dark Horse, Ether Rag, and many, many more. And now on to news, because there have been some news that has come up that seems quite relevant to talk about to do with Sydney and bands in general. The first is that 4 more bands have been announced for South by Southwest Festival, which is the essentially biggest music conference that happens in Austin, Texas every year. It covers from March 17th to March 22nd, so congratulations to the following bands who made it: Gang of Youths, Hiatus Coyote, Lenka, and Mansion Air. Hopefully they can get over there, they can network and really break into the American market, because they are certainly 4 bands who deserve it. If you don't know who they are, just click the link below, you will see them and you can find them out. And the last news article was a study that came out showing that there are slightly more numbers of people who attend live music concerts than those who attend sporting venues. The data is pulled from a course of 3 months to see what people go to. A variable that the article from Tone Deaf pointed out is that over the course of 3 months, sport is seasonal, so those 3 months may not be quite indicative of how many people actually go to see sport, but it still points out that the numbers, even across that small 3-month period, means that there are people who at least equally enjoy both sides of that kind of entertainment. This also brings up the larger argument of the media focus on sport. Essentially, if we're doing bad in sport, then you need to know all the details of why we're bad in sport. If we're doing really well in sport, then you need to hear all the details of why we're good in sport. A lot of disregard to the fact that there are heaps of Aussie bands making it overseas, because overseas is believing that the most innovative music currently is coming out of Australia, and you wouldn't know that unless you talked to someone from overseas, because that's where their focus is. There is a much more detailed breakdown of all the data in the link below that takes you to the article, and it is a very good breakdown. It's quite well done, and it's nice that it's not completely pointing out that, live music is so much better than everything else, everyone prefers it. It's just at least pointing out that it's there. It's not dying, it's not dwindling, it's staying quite strong over even a small sample size. And that is it for this week. If you want to see the gig guide, because it is currently up on the website, just go to www.lyceum.com.au. You can see it. Every event and band is linked, so you can see something new, you can discover new things, all in genres listed, so you can see a genre that you love, you can discover something new, and I'm just going to stick to my original normal tagline because that's a bit less rambly. As always, on Wednesday, I'll be on Radio Northern Beaches on the flip side with Lachlan Wiley. That starts at 6:30 in the morning. You can hear a really bunch of cool Aussie acts being played on their playlist, and I'll also cover some really cool gigs to check out for the current week if you want some more details that aren't just launches or anything like that. And then on Saturday, I'll be on SWA FM. Wait a minute, I don't want to edit this, so I'm going to backtrack. Radio Northern Beaches, 88.7 FM. Shut up, computer, I try not to edit. 88.7 FM or 90.3 FM. You can also stream it through their website. And then SWA FM, 99.9 FM. They are on Saturday from 2 to 4 PM. Another great playlist of local acts, and I'll be on there to talk about gigs, mainly covering the inner west and the outer west. I knew I should have turned off the speakers on my computer. I think that's basically it, so I will see you next week on the roundup of launches, special gigs, and news. Until then, don't dehydrate. Keep up water. Survive. And be good.